Hi everyone, today I just wanted to do a video on the flight simulator. So this is the FS 2020. Today I just want to do a short hop and full disclosure, I've already done this route and I did record it at the time, but I later found out that I've missed to record my mic audio stream. So I'm just redoing it. So the few things that you might see that I directly go to or set correctly, basically because I've already done that, but I will try to keep it as much real as possible. So today we are going to take the A320neo V2. I'll use SimBrief for the planning. I do have other flights like A350, Boeing 787, etc. This version of 320neo V2 gives a good SimBrief integration, so I would like to make use of it. So I'm just going to use a 320neo V2, and over here this is the route that I previously flew, and I'm going to use the exact same route again. But let me see if I need to change anything. I can obviously go into edit flight and change, but if at all someone is watching it the first time and if you want to see how to create a new flight with the SimBrief, so first you take care of all the login process into SimBrief. You need to create a user ID with Navigraph and then use that to log in into SimBrief, and then use the same. When you come into the screen for the first time, it will ask you for the SimBrief details. You provide that, you authorize that, then you get to the screen. So in the home, yeah, you will see all this signed in. So it's now showing signed out because I'm already signed in. New flight. Okay, so each airline has to have its own ICAP code. So I'm going to create something like CVN 0001, and these are the airport codes. So I want to do a short hop between KISP, which is the Long Island, and KJFK, which is the New York International. You can also use this to search. If you just click on this, you can search for, sorry, yeah, I'm using the Kennedy International. Okay, you can, if you know the code, directly punch it in. Otherwise you can also search. And then the aircraft that I'm going to use is A320neo V2, which is the A20N here that you see. Neo stands for new engine option. There is also CEO, which stands for current engine option. So neo V2, we are using the INI builds version. That I generally keep everything as it is. I don't change much. I don't have the paid version of SimBrief, that's why you see this outdated ARAC. So the ARAC database that you see here is the one that's valid for 2025 March to 16th April, which is like 1 month, right? Yeah. The latest one is 2608, but we don't have access to it. If you click on that, you will get an error. So what this means is when the flight route, okay, I think for short hops you can figure it out easily, but for long hops, the route that the SimBrief plans may not be available directly in your flight, because the flight simulator actually loads the latest ARAC database. Okay, but SimBrief does not allow you to use that. That's why you might see some conflicts, but it is easily manageable. You can just modify it to accept whatever your flight simulator FMC ask you to plan. Maybe that is for another video. Right now let's not worry about it. So it, as mentioned, the departure runway is 6 and the arrival runway is 31L, which means like we are going to depart from runway 6 in KISP, which is Long Island, and we are going to land in 31L at KJFK. Okay, it is always a good habit to understand the airport that you are going to depart from, okay, and also where you are going to land to reach the gates correctly. So let's keep this as it is. Okay, now let's import it. As I mentioned, you can see that the maximum altitude that you are going to fly today is 6,000 feet. The other parameters that you need to worry about here is, okay, maybe as we start putting it into the FMC, we'll go through all of those. And I don't want to directly take off from runway 6. I want it to be a cold and dark start, so that we can take care of turning on the engine and other things. So I'm going to start from gate 4. Just zoom in a little bit into KISP. This is KISP, and this gate 4 is here, which seems to be good for us. So what we have to do is basically we have to so you can see it here, right? Like it says that we need to go out like this and then take this route to reach the runway. You have to go this way. So this could be runway 6. Okay, so this is why you need to check. This may always not be correct. So we know that we have to take off from runway 6, right? Okay, we will do that soon. Okay, so we'll do that part soon. Let me now do the fly. It's going to take a couple of minutes for it to load. Maybe I will meet you all back once it is loaded. So we are loaded, and as you can see, it's the night. I'm in India, it's about 9:30 a.m., which is going to be midnight in US. So that's why it's dark, and I've kept the current world option on. I have not changed the time. So let's get into it. Let's do ready to fly. I'm going to increase the volume of Flight Simulator. So the spotlight is on by default, so that enables us to turn on the main power, basically the battery 1 and battery 2, and then also avail the external power is an avail. Let's avail the external power. There you go, everything is now pumped up. So meanwhile, the next thing that you can do is start the APU. So APU is the one that's at the end of, I think the volume of the flight sim is slightly high. Let me just change it a little bit, or bring it down a little bit, so that my voice is clear. Okay, so so once the APU is available, we can turn the APU bleed on. So generally you can hear the APU loading, right? Yeah, the APU is at the end of the flight. So when you are near a aircraft and you see hot air coming out of this, that's basically the APU exhaust, because the APU lives here. It's a big generator at the end that supplies electrical power to the rest of the aircraft. Let's wait for it to change to avail. Let's check if our park brakes or okay. Let's turn on some. You can see the instrument cluster is dark and we are not able to see some readings and labels. So let's turn on some lights, which is this. Yeah, let's set the dome light. Now let's turn off the spotlight, and yeah, see, everything is now lit up, which is good. We will also turn on the navigation alignment. So this helps the aircraft identify where it is currently in, locate itself in the world. Okay, so once it is aligned, you will see this screen a bit different, with not bit different, a lot different, with the aircraft icon and where it is and the airport routes, etc. So we'll leave this as it is. The next thing that we need to take care of here, I think we are good. Let's, yeah, APU. The APU is on now, so let's turn on the APU bleed, and we can take down the external power. Now we don't need the external power because the APU is going to take care of supplying the required electric power. Now let's go into planning our flight. This is the FMC. I'm going to go into init first. You generally go to init first, and so we named our flight. Okay, so let's come to EFB first. Okay, so if you click on OFP, you can also click on SimBrief here. Okay, there are many places where you can actually integrate or import the SimBrief plan. Here is one, so you can now see the flight number, right? CVN0001. So if you want, you can also manually enter everything from the plan, like CVN0001. No, sorry, not this one. Let's clear all of these. My bad. CVN0001. That's the flight number. So you can manually do it like this, but I want to save some time and I want to directly integrate from SimBrief, so I'm doing init request. So everything is now populated. Good, right? One thing that I did not tell you about, or when you will see this in the SimBrief planning itself, it will automatically, if you don't give an alternative route, that is basically if you are approaching KJFK and there is a problem there, there is wind there, and you want to route, it then selects an automatic route, or if you want, you can also select the alternative airport where you want to land. Why do we need this? Basically to plan for fuel and other things. Okay, so we are good to the init page. Now let's go to the next page. So this is the fuel page. So what we need to enter here is a zero fuel weight. So without fuel, what is the total weight and what is the center of gravity? So that is what you need to enter here, and the total amount of fuel that you have in your flight in tons. Okay, so you can, again, this also can be input directly by pressing the numbers, but before we do that, we need to find out that value, what you have to put in. So there is option for you here. You can use these ones here. So maximum is this and the estimated is this, so you can put in the estimated value, and you can start typing in 601 etc. But there is an option like this which is provided by the iEnables. So you can integrate your SimBrief plan here. So that's going to automatically populate this passenger. See, if you go to OFP, you should be able to see the passengers and other things. I forgot where it is, but it is there somewhere, so you can figure it out. So we have 180 passengers and the cost index is 36, cruise altitude is 6000, all of that. So what we will do is, like, in the payload now we have imported, and the overall weight and everything is now set. So we are going to do apply load, and we are going to do instant. So now you can see that gross weight is increasing. So this is a gross weight. It includes the fuel weight also, not just the ZFW, but this is the one that's without the fuel, okay, zero fuel weight. So this is what has to go in here, and ZFW CG is this value. SimBrief is giving us a good option of just click on this, sorry, the INA bills, I think it automatically appears here. You can also manually put it in. Similarly, block fuel is, where is it? Yeah, 3.4. Again, this is also, you can put it in like 3.4 and then click here, but if you just click here, everything is now set. Okay. Keep clearing all the warning messages so that you know the latest warning if it throws anything. Okay, we are set for the FMC. Anything else we need to set here? No, that's all. Let's go to the next page. Yeah, only these two pages. Good. We're done with the unit. Now let's do the. So now what we've done is we have told flight from where we are starting and where we are reaching, and then we have told flight that these are the amount of passengers it is going to carry and this is the fuel that we need, etc. And now we need to take care of the flight plan. Okay, so based on the import that we did, the flight plan is already loaded with from where we are going to start as KISP and where we are going to land as KJFK, and also the alternate airport. Everything is put in here, but it still doesn't know from where we are going, from which runway we are going to go. Okay, because that is also required for the planning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on KSP, so and click on departure, and I know that the SimBrief initially told us that we are going to take off from runway 6, but as I mentioned to you, so it said the SimBrief wanted us to take off from runway 6 and land at 31L, but as I said, the SimBrief that we are dealing with as an outdated ARAC database, and it is, the weather is not live weather, etc. So however, the flight simulator itself loads the latest ARAC database along with the latest metadata, I mean the climate data. So it might tell us to start from a different runway. To figure that out, let's go to ATC and request for IFR clearance. Okay, that won't work because we have not turned on the radio. So let's back to now request IFR clearance.
Long Island clearance delivery Airbus 320 IFR to Kennedy, ready to copy. Airbus 320 is cleared to Kennedy Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 33 left climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 132.3 squawk 4536.
Let's acknowledge it.
320 cleared to Kennedy Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 33 left climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure on 132.3 squawk 4536.
Oh.
320 read that correct. Contact ground on 135.3. Good day.
Okay, we are good. So let's minimize this for now. So it, as I mentioned, it asked us to, if you notice this, it asked us to take off from runway 33L, not 6. So we need to take off from 33L, which we have to find here, and it also asked us to climb and maintain 6,000 feet directly. So I suggest you put in that 6,000 here so that you don't forget it later. And let's find 33L. Here is 33L, and because this is a short hop and we are going to directly go out of the airport, I'm just going to insert it as it is. And KJFK, where we are going to land, we can keep the same 31L for now, and if it changes when we are approaching, we can change it. But again, this is a short hop, okay, so it's not very easy for you, don't have enough time to change it to whatever option there is. But let's just put in, let's see how this thing goes. 31L, and I'm not going to select any star approach or anything. I'm just going to insert as it is. So just go up and down just to check if there are no discontinuities. Maybe I should do one with a longer range so that I can show you guys about the SID and star, etc. So we are good now. Okay, we are good with the flight plan. We are now ready to so now because it knows the direction, it has loaded the full flight plan. You can see that it has automatically gone into the managed mode. Okay, so we have now loaded the flight plan. We have taken care of the fuel. The next thing that we need to take care of is the takeoff limits. For that we need to go into the performance. So here's a takeoff page. There is a takeoff helper in the EFB, in the enables. You can use this. You can sync it. So it's now synced to the FMC, which is 33L. It's showing all these things, all these options, and the flap setting is 1 plus F. So which means you're going to set the flaps at 1. Calculate. Find performance data. So this happens when SimBrief does not have any idea about the runway. So this calculator fails. Okay, if let's select this. So as you can see, these things are marked red, right? So which means it has only data for runway 6 and 24. Okay, so let's see if there are many things that come into picture. So runway 33L is in which direction, and the wind speed is in which direction. Those kind of things are all relevant. So what right now it shows in the red is that it does not have information about these things. Okay, so what you can do is you can use the flight simulator's own takeoff calculator. So let's go into so not flight simulator, the SimBriefs. Okay, SimBrief. This is a bit of workaround that you can use to calculate the takeoff limits. Go into performance and tools. Aircraft type, you can select A20M, enables, KISP, 33L, and the weight ZFW. ZFW is 60140, and yeah, you can click on calculate now. So here it says the takeoff V1 is 120, 125 and 127, and we'll do one by one. Okay, let's go to FMC. 120, 120, 125, 127, and flap settings is at 2, and thrust rating is flex. This thing does not calculate the takeoff shift, I think. So the flap settings is 2. We'll put 2 here. Click flap settings is 2, and flex to temperature is 47. So we've got a flex setting, so which means that we have to select when we bring up the throttle lever for takeoff, we will leave it at flex, not take it to toga. Okay, I think that's it. So we have now set the takeoff limits. So we are now good for a pushback. We have loaded the passengers, we have loaded the fuel and everything. So we are now good for a pushback. Let's turn on the beacon and set the strobe to auto. Okay, the lights, and we also need some nose light, so we'll put taxi to on. Okay, okie dokie. Now let's request ATC for pushback, not pushback, for taxi.
Long Island ground Airbus 320 with uniform ready to taxi IFR.
Airbus
So it has given us a way to reach the runway 28. There is a simple way. You can leave the guidance on, but if you want to feel real, you can try to find out through proper aircraft charts and other things. But I don't have that kind of patience, so I'm going to find out where 33L is, and I'm going to go there, for which I'm going to pull up the VFR map. So generally you can use the VFR map and see where the runways are. So we are going to take off from 33L and the flight is here, so which means we need to go to our right and then take this taxiway and then reach here. Okay, so let's do a pushback first. I want to keep this as it is, so that I know where I'm going. I'll leave it here. Okay, I can leave it here. Minimize this, because the next ATC communication is once we are near the runway, right? So it's saying hold short of runway 33L. So that's when we are going to contact the ATC. I'll minimize this. Let's do a pushback. Pre-planned pushback. So we have to go towards the right. We have to go back towards the right. So the pushback has to go to right, which is basically this way. Okay. So what we do is we use the mouse wheels to give it a good sense of path. Okay, and now let's request pushback. We can also check. Okay, there's another thing that we need to check. Go here. Yeah, the GPU is out and the chocks are also out. This is automatically done when you turn on the beacon. Okay, when you turn on the beacon light, this is automatically being done. It removes GPU and chocks. So you can now see that this is aligning with our flight. It is aligned. Now let's release the parking brake and turn off the hold, and it starts the pushback.
Airbus 320, hold position, caution other traffic.
Okay, it's asking us to hold.
Hold position Airbus 320.
I'm just trying to find out where it is. Is it really nearby? I don't see anything nearby. Let's just keep doing it. This is not a good thing in the real life, but yeah, I'm not going to kill anyone with this. As you can see, my flight is being pushed back. Once it has done the pushback, the parking brake will enable here again. I don't know how this audio works. Sometimes this pushback comes up with some nice audio telling like you can start the engines. Oh yeah, we can now start the engine. So let's turn on the fuel pumps. Okay, and set the ignition to start and turn on the engine fuel pump, main fuel pump, or the master switches of engine, whatever you call it. And we also saw another important thing before the takeoff. When we set the takeoff, the flap settings was at 2. So let's pull it to 2 so the flaps come. Another thing to do is like engage the ground spoilers and set the auto brakes to max. You can do it once the engines are on. You can see that engine is now powering up. You can hear the engine powering up. Once it is fully powered up, okay, you can see the parking brake is now enabled, which means that flight has now pushed back successfully. Engage the parking brake. You can now close this. It's going to say avail soon. It's available. Let's do the engine 1. At this moment you can actually start moving. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disengage the parking brake, and I'm going to apply the throttle slightly. Initially, what can happen now when I try to move the throttle is you can see a sudden movement of the throttle to the top position, and then I will bring it down slowly. This happens because it is trying to align with your joystick's throttle. Okay, because I'm using the joystick's throttle for this. Okay, we didn't have the jerk, that is good. Sometimes it happens, so don't get alarmed. Okay, so now the flight is moving, and you can see that it is moving towards the right because that's the engine that's on. Engine 2 is going to become oil soon. Let's bring back the VFR.
Airbus 320, continue taxi.
Let's see, I can see an opening at the end.
Airbus 320, acknowledge last transmission.
Roger Airbus 320.
I know that was dumb, ignore it, happens. As I mentioned, this is not real, and I'm not going to kill any real people. I'm going to engage the parking brake, and I'm going to ask ATC for takeoff approval.
Long Island Tower Airbus 320 ready for IFR departure runway tree left.
Airbus 320, altimeter 30.07, wind 353 at tree. Cleared for takeoff, runway tree left.
Cleared for takeoff runway tree left Airbus 320.
Okay. Before, okay, one thing that I want to tell here is that in my thrustmaster joystick, the Z axis is faulty, so I have disconnected my rudder movements, which is basically the horizontal left right movement of my simulator. I've disconnected that with my joystick, and I use my keyboard for the left right movement. That's why it's a bit dodgy, it's very sharp, so please apologize. What's the right word? Please forgive me for those things. Don't get hot. Let's get on to the runway. We've got the clearance. Okay, so now what is going to happen is now we are ready for takeoff. Okay, Just quickly tell you. So after we take off, we are going to climb. Once we reach the 1500 feet, I'm going to engage the autopilot, and I'm going to keep. I'm going to use my joystick and try to keep my flight nose up a little bit around or above, a little bit above 10 degrees. If I do too much, then I can go into a stall. If I do too less, then I might not actually climb. So I'm going to keep it a little bit above 10. I'm going to try and keep it above 10 because initially, because the autopilot is not on, I will have to battle the wind speed. Okay, so that's the thing. And few things that we need to take care of before takeoff. We should have done it before we started taxiing, but I'll do it here anyways. That's why this display is there. So takeoff, auto brake I'll set to max. Cabin I'll check. Signs should be set to on. Again, this we should have done before we fueled. Okay, so now it's on. Takeoff config test is normal. Let's turn on the TCAS. Sorry guys, sorry for all AV enthusiasts. I know this would look really bad for you guys. This is the settings for TCAS, traffic collision avoidance system. This is the wind shear. You know, turn down the predictive wind shear. So we're good, and you can see that the APU bleed is still on. So once both the engines spin up, you can turn it off, because now your flight is going to be run by powered by the engines and not the APU. That's it. We are now ready for takeoff. Okay, so you can see the flight director is already on, and the auto throttle will already automatically engage once you take off. So I'm going to slightly increase it, stabilize it, and then take it to flex and remove the parking brake. And once you see the speed of 120 comes here, there will also be a small triangle that will show up here when you can start your nose lift. There you go. You're up.
Airbus 320 contact Boston Center on 132.3. Good day.
I'm just waiting for it to reach the 1500. The auto throttle has come up. 1500, autopilot on.
Airbus 320, did you copy?
132.3 Airbus 320. Goodbye.
I'm going to set the throttle to climb detent. Now the flight will take care of everything. Because this is a short hop, it is a good idea for us to see how the situation is in the destination airport. So let's go to weather, go to the Kennedy International. So you can see that the altitude is, sorry, the QNH is the 3008. Actually, another bad thing is we never checked it in Long Island. It is 3007. Which is 1019 in QNH. What you can do is you can put this value in arrival. So let's go to performance. So this is performance page. Go to the next. Let's also tune in to the approach.
New York approach Airbus 320 6,000 feet.
Airbus 320, New York approach altimeter 30.08 radar contact continue.
Next phase. Yeah, over here.
20, you are 22 mile feet. Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Expect ILS
1019.
left approach via Delta Papa Kilo transition. Cleared to Delta Papa Kilo.
And the wind is, I'll go to that soon, 120/03. This is important for us to land safely. 120/03. That's the wind that you see here. And the temperature there is, I forgot where I had to see the temperature. But don't worry about it. We'll come to know. So let's pull up the ATC.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 31 left approach via
Before
Delta Papa
we
Kilo
just reached
transition.
6,000
Cleared to
feet,
Delta
but
Papa
they've
Kilo
asked us to
Airbus
reduce down to
320.
2,000 feet again. So we will now bring it down to 2,000 feet. So I didn't see the landing runway. So it says 31L. Are we programmed for 31L? Yes, we are programmed for 31L, which is good, and we have programmed for the ILS 31L also, so we are good there. So generally when it says 2000 feet, there are two places where you can check. Okay, so we are approaching fast to the next waypoint, but I want to show you guys something. So let's pull up the Chrome. KJFK. Go to approach and find 31L. Yeah, ILS 31L. So this the initial approach fixes ZAX, and at this here we should be at 2000. So before we reach ZAX, we need to be at 2000 feet. If we are not, I suggest you go around, you do a manual navigation around. In real life, then ATC will help you to find a route and go around and come back and reach this. But over in simulator, where there is a mismatch between the databases, you can't expect that properly. So what I suggest is you manually go around and come back to the ZAX at 2000 feet, the initial fix at 2000 feet. Okay, and at final approach fix, which is JFK, right? Yeah, JFK, you need to be at 1000, or radar, I don't know, let's see what is the name. So there you should be at 1800 feet. Yeah, I think it is JFK. So you need to be at 1800 feet. Okay, only then the ILS will engage, and you also should be in a flap settings of at least 1 so that the ILS can engage. I'll show you that further. Let's go over here, escape. So we are reaching ZAX, but are we going down to the closest? Are we going down fast enough? What you can do is, we are going at a good speed, so let's reduce the speed so that we can help it reach 2000 feet. 160-ish. Okay, and we'll also use the speed brake. and we will allow it to drop faster. If nothing works out at this point of time, I will disengage the heading, go around and come back here at 2000 feet. Okay, but it looks promising. It's going down fast enough. I don't know if the real pilots do this. It would be scary to drop at 2500 feet per second per minute, I think. We are now coming down to 2000 feet.
Airbus tree 20U are 13 miles east of Kennedy. Contact Kennedy Tower on 119.1 when in.
I'm also going to go to 1800 feet. I'm going to engage the ILS because
Airbus tree 20 acknowledge last transmission.
Tower on 119.1 Airbus tree 20. Kennedy Tower Airbus tree 2012 miles southeast inbound ILS
so we
runway
are
tree 1
going
left
to
approach.
okay, Meals is the waypoint. So by here we should be at 1800 feet.
Tree 0.007 wind 1 tree true.
This is the first time I am coming to 31L, so I thought Meals is something else, but seemingly Meals is the name of the final approach fix where the flight is expected to be at 1800 feet, and we are already dropping down to 1000. We are dropped down to 1800 feet. We are good. You can see the ILS icons or indicators. At this time, I will set the speed to automatic back. As you can see, the automatic itself is at 132, and you can see the runway here. So I'm going to set the flaps to push in 2, and so what's the warning? If we are at high speed, that's okay. We are coming down. We're coming down. Okay. Yeah.
Tree 20, did you hear my last transmission?
Yeah, I did hear. And
Cleared ILS runway tree
we are
1 left
reaching the
approach
final
Airbus tree
approach
20.
fix. At which point of time, let's go to performance. Next phase. I think the approach phase is already activated. We can also turn on the APPR as we are nearing our final approach fix. We'll engage auto brakes. We'll drop in the landing gear. We are flaring. That's basically because we left the speed to the FMC. So we are now, the ILS is aligning nicely from the top. I mean, we are reaching the glide slope from the bottom, and now the approach is going to start. As you can see, we are now automatically going down.
Cleared to land runway tree 1 left Airbus tree 20.
So if you go this way, it will take you down to the runway as closely as possible, at which point of time you disconnect the autopilot and then you take care of the brakes. But if you want to do everything automatically, all you have to do is just engage AP2 as well. Now you can see it's CAT3 dual and we have AP1 plus 2, so both are engaged. We are now approaching the runway nicely. We have aligned nicely with runway. I can feel some wind shear happening, but we have put in the wind speed in the approach, so that should take care of, aligning this a little bit. I have turned on the landing gear lights, set flaps to full. We are there. So once it touches down, I will engage the reverse thrust.
100,
And the auto brake should automatically bring the
40,
flight to stop.
20, reach,
Engage it. Nice and smooth touchdown.
Airbus tree 20, turn next taxiway.
We have come to a complete stop. We can now take it. What we can do is we can disconnect the autopilots and bring the throttle a little bit up.
Airbus tree 20, exit runway when able.
Okay, I'll do that. So there you can see the sorry, we should follow the green line, not the blue line.
Airbus tree 20, exit runway when able. Airbus tree 20, contact ground on 128.925.
That's it, guys. That's it for today's video. I hope you got to understand some things, but yeah, we can also do a video in detail if you require. I am not a aviation expert or something, but I learned.
20, did you hear my last transmission?
Going to 128.9 or 25 Airbus tree 20.
That's it. Thank you, team. Thanks all. Bye.